He's former Minnesota Vikings linebacker, number 56, Chris Doleman. Chris, on the Taco Bell hotline. Good morning, Taco Bell, because I'm getting nervous, man. You heard a lot of people in the league, and I'm nervous as a running back interviewing you, even though you're not in the friendly confines of Central Texas.
Hey, well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. But I want to let people know I am a man of peace. I just left church. And it's just a situation where everybody has a job to do. I was just trying to do my job.
You did your job ridiculously well.
Eight-time Pro Bowler.
Yes, yeah, 8-time Pro Bowler. So you must have done well in church and then well with your craft as well. You should. And, first rounder and doing a whole bunch of things now. And one of those is playing in the Legends Fantasy League. Dean Steinman has put together a great core of legends from the NFL, you included. And just, tell us about your thoughts with respect to fantasy football and the game in itself, the NFL.
Well, I never really, like a lot of players, got involved in fantasy football. But when Dean called me and asked me if I'd be involved in this, I thought it would be, something, one, I can learn about fantasy football, and two, I can actually see, match wits and skills and abilities to see, with the average public, how much they know about the game.
Right.
It's all about, for me, I look at things where the teams who have, like Minnesota, for example, tons of talent have not, played to their level yet. I picked Donovan McNabb this week for my quarterback. I know they're playing Detroit. I know the history of that rival, and it's just it's about time for this team to open up. I look at guys like Percy Harvin. I look at Adrian Peterson. All these guys have played well, but they just haven't had that breakout game, and I think this is the week for them.
Well, I tell you, and I like Minnesota in this game, but I think, and you would agree, they don't have Nick Fairley do the Detroit Lions, but they still have a guy in Ndamukong Suh and others that can really bring a pass rush on a guy who's aging a little, still highly athletic and Donovan McNabb, but he has Adrian Peterson, the almighty equalizer in the backfield. You did what would stop a great offense and bring that upfield pass rush. Do you see the Lions, these young Lions, giving McNabb and Adrian Peterson a lot of difficulty and trouble today?
Well, if you get yourself behind and you are, throwing the ball a lot, it can cause some problems. You're pretty much playing in their hands. But you got to keep in mind, too, Kevin Williams will be back for us.
Yes.
For Minnesota this week. So that's going to help our defensive line tremendously. There's been a lot of scrutiny on our offensive line, and be quite frank with you, those guys got to step it up. They have not played well at all. I mean, there's a lot of money that's spent on that O-line, and they have not delivered. So, I think Leslie has been reevaluating, and this team is going to take on a much, much different look than probably what they had in the last few weeks. I think you got to get back to, pounding the ball. And when you can run the ball, and it's the hardest part of football, when you can run the ball, you can create so much more havoc, and it opens up your doors to throw the ball and create so many different things. It's just hard to defend against. And if you got some aggressive pass rushers like they do in Detroit, I would be careful, because the thing that's going to eat them up are draws, screens, traps, those kind of plays will make it a long day for you, especially if they're trapping you a lot. I know we played Chicago one year, and Minnesota had a pretty good defensive line up there. And I tell you what, that was we played Chicago in Chicago. I can't remember the year right now, but one of the things they could not do was stop us on the pass rush. So what they did, they trapped us. They ran counters. They ran the ball so many times in that game. I mean, we were just worn out. and we just could not. We never got the numbers that we wanted to get. We never got to the passer, which was McMahon at that time, and they ended up beating us, and controlled the game the whole time. So, I mean, if you can do those things, you can cause a lot of problems for a pass rushing team.
Well, you would know. This is NFL legend Chris Doleman, the number 4 overall draft pick back in 1980.
85.
85, that's right. And I was going to say in the 80s, but yes, 1985 with the University of Pittsburgh. Great football players come from there. Legends Fantasy Leagues. Now, you can go on, and basically, Legend Fantasy Leagues is the preeminent fantasy football league website where you can play against a real live football legend, such as Chris Doleman, who played professionally. Chris, what's your record to date? Have you been doing extremely well, or how are the fans treating you that have been playing against you?
Well, I finished last week. I finished third.
Okay.
First week I finished. I think I was second.
Okay.
First or second.
Okay.
And it was just, you just go out and I spent actually last night. I was up late last night putting in my lineup.
Okay, studying.
And a little bit, yeah. But
Nice.
I mean, I just happen to have time to go through it and not kind of rush through it.
Yes.
And I feel pretty good this week. I'm interested to see how well I would do. I know that it's a crazy fan sport. But,
right.
it keeps us all connected to the NFL.
Absolutely. Chris, what are you doing now? What opportunities and availabilities do you have with your time?
I'm glad you asked me that. Right now on an auction site, and I want everybody who's listening to hear this. We have Chris Doleman Pro Auction and Celebrity Charitable Network. And what we do is we take nonprofits or foundations and raise money online through their silent auction. So we put that, you typically go to a golf tournament or some kind of function, they have things laid out on the table. Well, one of the things that I looked at, and I was playing in Joe Namath's tournament, it has to be a better way of raising money. We had a Nor'easterner came up the coast. They have over 105 athletes that come in and play in Joe's tournament at Bethpage Black.
Okay.
We're playing on 3 different courses. And what ended up happening, they had a big storm come through, and everything was washed out. I mean, they lost literally $1 million.
Wow.
I mean, $1 million. So guys' schedules are so tight, as soon as they say we're not playing golf, they're out the door. They're done. They say, okay, I need to change my flight. So you got to change flights. You have to, cover guys for meals and hotels and, all these car services and all this other stuff. So I said it has to be a better way of raising money. And he has a wonderful tournament for the March of Dimes, the oldest running tournament now that Jerry Lewis has stopped
his
campaign. So I just thought, let's look at this thing and see if we can help, raise money. And that's what we've done. So with Chris Doleman Pro Auction, we take the things, we put them online. You go online and bid. The supporters can go online, and it's pretty simple. If you're a charity, you go online, you have a PayPal account. It's all self-explanatory. You register, you take pictures, set your price, and write your description, and upload it to our site.
Awesome.
It's pretty simple. And the Celebrity Charitable Network side is the site that pretty much it covers what's new in fundraising, where the trends are going, who's doing what in that work. And we deal with a lot of athletes, and we deal with smaller and less known charities. But we're here for everyone.
Excellent.
And it's been a wonderful experience. I love golf, and being able to and I love helping people. Being able to contribute and help with all this is a great deal.
I tell you, we're talking with number 4 pick in the 85 draft, Chris Doleman, mostly noted for the Vikings, but that wasn't the only team that you played for. We'll leave it at that because you came back in '99 with the Vikings. Chris, let me ask you this. You're enjoying the Legends Fantasy Leagues, and it's a great fantasy football league put together by Dean Steinman. You're doing charity work. You're assisting and helping. You love golf, so I'm going to invite you to my tournament July 8th here in Central Texas at a great course, Terra Vista. So if you can do that, great. Also, if there's anything that the show can do to help you out with your endeavors, please give us a call. We will do what we can. We also are very charitable and in the humanitarian spirit of being helpful. But tell us right now, Super Bowl pick. Who you like?
You know what? I thought of going into the year, and first of all, I want to say thank you so much for your help in giving me the time to talk about this.
Certainly.
But I thought about at the beginning of the year. I really thought that the number one division right now is that NFC Central. With Chicago and Green Bay, and I thought Minnesota would be there. And I still think they're probably the number one, and Detroit's playing really well. And I think one of the Super Bowl, I thought Minnesota a long time ago, but I'm feeling pretty certain that one of them will probably come out of that division. On the AFC side, it's Pittsburgh. You still got the Patriots. You got a lot of things where that teams that could do it, but I think Pittsburgh or the Patriots are the two leaders from there. So if I had to pick one, I would probably go with the Patriots. And if things, all things being even right now, if I had to pick a team for the NFC, I would have to say Green Bay again. But I don't like Green Bay. I mean, I played in Minnesota, and Minnesota doesn't get along.
Awesome.
But let me ask a question.
Sure.
And I'm just because I spent my career chasing quarterbacks and putting them down. I'm kind of like a dragon slayer, But I have to ask this question here: how come that when quarterbacks, they get credit for all the good and they get credit for bad too? But I mean, and I love Tom Brady. Don't get me wrong. I think he's the best quarterback in the league by far, even over Peyton.
Okay.
But when you throw an 18-yard pass and Wes Welker, fights off a man and runs, 99 yards, you get credit for it.
Right.
Because Wes Welker could have pulled a hamstring, get tackled, fumbled, whatever the case may be, and the play is dead at that point. My question is here: how come, and I'm going to give you another example. As a running back,
yes,
as he runs the ball and he breaks the line of scrimmage, these are all positive yards. But when he gets tackled behind the line of scrimmage, they come off his total. Okay? My question is this here: how come when quarterbacks throw interceptions, that doesn't come off their total? Okay? Because they were in control of the ball and they put it to the guy who intercepted it. Or put it in a position where it could have been intercepted.
Right.
Or when they, take a sack, which, sometimes that can be considered rushing yards as well.
Right.
But, my big thing is that I watch these quarterbacks and they talk about, the girl on ESPN was talking about Tom Brady's on pace to throw for 7,000 yards. But let me tell you something. There's a lot of guys that are doing a lot of stuff that make them yards count. And, if you threw the ball 15 yards, you shouldn't get credit for 18 yards. You shouldn't get credit for 99 yards.
It's still part of the play, though, Chris. That's the beauty of being an offensive guy. I mean, I agree because a lot of times, Jason throws a swing pass to me, in college, Jason Garrett being my college quarterback. He got all those yards of credit for, it looked like he was throwing a 20-yard pass, whereas a dump in the flat and get around a guy like you and make it safely towards the stick so a guy like Mike Jackson here in the studio could move the chains. And life's not fair, but it's a great question.
Oh no, it's a question that's spoken by a defensive guy.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
I always say.
Go ahead.
I look at that. Okay, let's say he threw a toss to you. Okay,
right.
It's a running play, it's a toss, or he throws a quick screen that's on the line of scrimmage.
Yes.
And I mean, everybody. You pretty much have about 22 guys on the field. You have at least 15 of them. They're coming to the ball. Okay?
Yes.
Now, you throw a little quick screen or a zip screen, however you want to call it,
yes,
and you're fighting off all these guys, and you consider it a continuation. What's the difference between that and a toss play?
It's just like a shuffle pass. They've made the determination if you move it forward in any way, it can either be complete or considered passing yardage. I know, man. The quarterback, it seems to me that it funnels pro quarterback. They're the pretty big money guys, so that's what happens.
Well, that's the whole thing. They've made a lot of rules because of guys like Chris, to keep those guys out there on the field.
That's right. It ain't right. It ain't right, Chris Doleman. It ain't right.
It's not fair. It's not fair. But because I understand what they're trying to do.
Right.
But everybody. I started playing football when I was 8. I retired when I was 38.
Yes.
So I my whole life, and I knew one game. But it seems like you get these rules committees and all these guys who come in who kind of legislate football. And now it's become, what can we do to make it better for the offense?
Well, that's right.
That was never the intention of the game. I like the game in its purest form. A fumble is a fumble.
Has this affected your fantasy output? It doesn't seem like you've been second and third amongst all your peers and these fans. So you've been wise enough at least to take this unfairness into account as you put together your lineups.
Absolutely.
Listen, he's Chris Doleman. A pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much.
Highly intelligent defensive player, and
hey, most of them are. I can tell you that.
No doubt. And like I said, the invitation is open to come back on the show. Call back in. Let us know what you're doing. Also, be a part of the Foss Golf Classic that occurs early July. If we can help you with charities, we'd love to do that. Dean has been great in promoting the Legends Fantasy Leagues, legendsfantasyleagues.com. Go ahead and take your chances with a guy like Chris Doleman, the number 4 overall draft pick in 1985 from the University of Pittsburgh. A great NFL player, all-decade team of the 90s. Thank you, Chris, and we'll catch you soon.
Thank you so much, and I look forward to playing in that tournament.
All right. Take care. He's Chris Doleman. We're laying down the law.